How to perform a chi-square goodness of fit test. First, we'll start by defining the terms. A null hypothesis, or HO, is a claim that we might not have evidence against in a significance test. The alternative hypothesis, or HA, is the claim that we are trying to find evidence for in a significance test. The p-value is the probability, computed assuming the null is true, that the statistic would take a value as extreme or as more extreme than the one actually observed, in the direction specified by the alternative. The smaller the p-value, the stronger the evidence is against the null and in favor of the alternative provided by the data. The expected value is the expected numbers of individuals in the sample that would fall in each cell of the one-way or two-way table if the null were true. The observed value are the actual numbers of individuals in the sample that would fall in each cell of the one-way or two-way table. The degree of freedom is the number of values in the final calculation of a statistic that are free to vary. Finally, n is the sample size. The problem we're going to be working on today is called birds in a tree. Researchers studied the behavior of the birds that were searching for seeds and insects in an Oregon forest. In this forest, 54% of the trees were Douglas firs, 40% were ponderosa pines, and 6% were other types of trees. At a randomly selected time during the day, the researchers observed 156 red-breasted nuthatches. 70 were seen in Douglas firs, 79 were seen in ponderosa pines, and 7 in other types of trees. Do these data provide convincing evidence that nuthatches prefer particular types of trees when they're searching for seeds and insects? To complete this problem, first we'll start by stating the null and alternative. The null is going to be nuthatches do not prefer particular types of trees when searching for seeds and insects. The alternative is going to be nuthatches do prefer particular types of trees when searching for seeds and insects. Step 2 is the plan. For this problem, we're going to complete the chi-square goodness of fit test. Step 3 is to check conditions. Here's a chart of the data that we've gathered so far. For the Douglas firs, we saw 70 birds. In the ponderosa pines, we saw 79 birds. In all other types of trees, we saw 7 birds. The 3 types of conditions we use for a chi-square goodness of fit test are random, 10%, and large counts. The random condition was met when a random sample of 156 nuthatches was taken. The 10% condition was met when our sample size, n, 156, we can assume that it's less than 10% of all total nuthatches. The large counts condition was met when we take our sample size multiplied by the decimal percent of each amount of birds in each particular tree. These numbers are called our expected counts. These numbers also have to be more than 5 when passing the large counts condition. 84.24, 62.4, and 9.36 are all larger than 5. Step 4 in a chi-square goodness of fit test is to complete the problem using your calculator. First, we're going to click on Stat. From there, we're going to click on Edit. In List 1, we're going to state our observed values. For this particular problem, we saw 70 birds in Douglas firs, 79 birds in ponderosa pines, and 7 birds in all other trees. In row number 2, we're going to state our expected values. Our expected values were found multiplying the sample size by the decimal percent of each type of bird in each tree. 84.24, 62.4, and 9.36 are all of our expected values. From here, we're going to click on Stat. Scroll all the way over to the right to Tests. From there, scroll all the way down to chi-squared goodness of fit test, or GOF. Click Enter. Our observed counts are in List 1. Our expected counts are in List 2. The degrees of freedom is 2. We find the degrees of freedom by taking the amount of categories and subtracting 1. For this problem, we have 3 categories: Douglas firs, ponderosa pines, and all other types of trees. From there, click Calculate. In this problem, our chi-square value is 7.41820. Our p-value is 0.024499, and the degrees of freedom is 2. The final step in completing this chi-squared test for goodness of fit test is the conclusion. The point of completing the chi-square goodness of fit test on our calculator was to find the p-value. In our conclusion, we say, because the p-value of 0.0245 is less than 0.05, we reject the null. There is convincing evidence that the nullcatchers prefer particular types of trees when they are searching for seeds and insects. If we were to accept the alternative,